Hey guys, welcome back. So CIG has just made one of the biggest roadmap changes we've seen in months. And honestly, this isn't just another roadmap update. Alpha 4.9 has effectively changed direction, major features have been pushed back, a brand new Alpha 4.10 patch has appeared on the roadmap, and CIG said they're putting development time into fixing the game's biggest problems instead of continuing to stack new content on top of them. But here's what's interesting. A huge part of the community is actually celebrating the delay. Others think this is simply history repeating itself. So today, we're breaking down exactly what changed, why CIG says they made this decision, what still made it for Alpha 4.9, everything moving into Alpha 4.10, and what players are saying after CIG staff stepped into the discussion to answer some of the biggest concerns. So let's get into it. Before we even look at the roadmap cards, we need to understand why CIG changed course. According to the Roadmap Roundup, this all goes back to 4.8. After that release, CIG says they reassessed how they prioritize bugs. Instead of individual teams deciding what gets fixed first, they brought together senior leadership, development, QA, player experience, community, and several supporting teams to identify the issues that have the biggest impact on players. They gathered reports from the issue council, Spectrum, Reddit, customer support, and direct player feedback. From all of that, they identified nearly 100 issues that consistently affect core gameplay. We're talking about instance hangers, ship retrieval, ATC, freight elevators, quantum travel, the star map, inventory interactions, ship incorrectly being marked as destroyed, docking, AI, login issues, and even exploits. The list is very long. The goal isn't simply fixing more bugs, it's fixing the bugs that makes the biggest difference to everyday gameplay and make the game actually functional. One thing I actually appreciate about this post is that CIG didn't just say we need more time. They explained why. Their example was Transit. Back in early 2025, Transit kept receiving patch after patch of bug fixes, but players barely noticed any improvement. Eventually, instead of continuing to fix individual symptoms, QA built better debugging tools that allow developers to identify the root causes itself. According to CIG, that's what finally made Transit significantly more reliable. Now, this is a little bit questionable because Transit is still not the best thing ever, but it's certainly better than it was before. Now, they're applying the same philosophy to several other systems, and their biggest example is freight elevators. If you've been playing Star Citizen recently, you probably already know why. Freight elevators aren't just another feature, they are tied into a huge portion of the game. Cargo hauling, salvaging, mining, storing equipment, retrieving items from local inventory, moving gear between ships and stations, countless game loops rely on them working properly. When they break, entire professions can grind to a halt. In some cases, players simply can't retrieve the equipment or cargo they need to continue playing, forcing them to server hop, relog, or abandon what they were doing entirely. That's what makes the system so important. Now, CIG says they've already implemented between 70 and 80 fixes for freight elevators since last summer. Think about that for a second, 70 to 80 fixes, and yet many players would probably tell you they're still one of the most frustrating systems in Star Citizen right now. According to CIG, that's because many of those fixes addressed individual symptoms rather than the underlying causes. So instead of continuing to patch one issue after another, they're stepping back and trying to solve the system as its foundation. They also say they've already completed roughly 20% of their current priority list, but they don't expect everything to be finished before 4.9 launches. This isn't meant to be a one-patch initiative, it continues into 4.10 and even 4.11. Now, of course, fixing or focusing on fixing bugs comes with a cost. It's time. CIG says several teams that normally build new gameplay features are now spending that time improving existing systems instead. Because of that, several roadmap cards have moved into a brand new Alpha 4.10 release, currently targeting for mid-August. The biggest one is Siege of Orison. Instead of launching in 4.9, it now moves to 4.10. The same goes for instancing itself. According to CIG, recent tech preview builds show that the technology still needs additional validation before it's ready for live. Considering how much back-end technology instancing introduced, they don't want to rush it. Mission giver Rico Battaglia also moves into 4.10. Alongside that are the new super heavy BUL-H4 armor and the Apocalypse Arms Vendetta heavy machine gun. The updated Ninetales armor sets, the recovery improvement of 4 ship loadouts, and the new Wicklow ship rewards, as well as the quantum and hydrogen fuel rebalance. It's worth mentioning one thing here, because there was a lot of confusion online. Some people assumed moving these cards meant they have been delayed indefinitely. That's not what happened. Most of them simply moved from 4.9 to 4.10, which is currently planned only about 4 weeks later. So with all that being delayed, what actually remains in 4.9? Quite a lot actually. The biggest gameplay addition is the Support the Miners mission pack. This introduces a completely new reputation chain centered around Rico Battaglia, offering repeatable contracts including mining, salvage recovery, investigation, ship reclamation, and several other mission types through the Moby-Glass. Just to avoid confusion, this isn't Rico appearing in person, that comes in Alpha 4.10. Only the missions that associates itself with Rico Battaglia is still coming in 4.9. Now 4.9 also includes new combat clothing, 2 hairstyles plus an updated existing one, dedicated ordnance cargo holders, the new Bearing CQ-7 rifle, improved vehicle hit markers, updated Valakar combat behavior, and an entirely new ship flyby audio system. So while 4.9 definitely becomes more focused on stability and quality of life improvement, it isn't completely empty. There is still a respectable amount of new gameplay arriving alongside the bug fixes. Now this is where things got really interesting. The Spectrum thread exploded almost immediately. One of the highest upvoted comments argued that moving Siege of Orison and instancing effectively turns Alpha 4.9 into what feels like a point patch, so instead call it 4.8.4 for example. That same player also worried that Nyx, Genesis, and several other anticipated features might now slip even further into the future. Now Nicou-CIG actually replied directly to that concern. He clarified that development on Nyx and Genesis hasn't stopped. Those teams are continuing work in parallel while these additional weeks are being used to improve stability. He also confirmed that more updates are planned beyond 4.10 later this year. On the other side, plenty of players supported the decision. Several of the most upvoted comments argued that the game's current state simply isn't stable enough to keep prioritizing new features. Some even said they'd happily accept a slower release schedule if it meant core gameplay systems finally become dependable. There was another criticism that came up repeatedly though. Not everyone believes bug fixing alone is the solution. Several players argued that CIG also needs to rethink how it tests patches. Some questioned whether PTU builds stay available long enough, which was also my own concern. I still think that PTU is one of the greatest tools that they could use in order to validate and test a lot of the features before pushing it into live. This will not only achieve that players will get to use the feature or experience it firsthand, knowing that it's bugged because it's in the PTU. They would not care that it's bugged because it's in the PTU. They can simply just live in the live environment and not need to test it in the PTU whatsoever. So I think they should utilize the PTU more, and clearly a lot of people agree with me. Others pointed out that patches are sometimes released during periods with lower player activity, making it harder to properly stress test new technology before it reaches live. So while most players seem to agree that fixing the game's foundations is the right goal, there's still plenty of debate about whether CIG's overall testing process also needs significant changes. So personally, I think this roadmap is less about delays and more about priorities. Cloud Imperium is essentially admitting that continuing to pile new content onto an unstable system isn't suitable enough or sustainable. Whether this new approach actually delivers is another question entirely. We've heard promise about stability before. 2025 was supposed to be the year of stability. The difference this time is that CIG is openly delaying major features to create room for those improvements. Now, it's up to them to prove that those extra weeks actually translate into a noticeably better experience once 4.9 arrives. If they do, I think most players will consider this the right call. If they don't, then the criticism we've been seeing on Spectrum is only going to grow louder. But that's everything from this week's Roadmap Roundup. What do you guys think? Would you rather see CIG delay new content for a month if it means finally fixing the core experience? Or are you getting tired of roadmap reshuffles no matter the reason? Let me know down in the comments because this has turned into one of the most divided discussions we've seen in a while. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Star Citizen news, Roadmap Roundup, and deep dives. We're also going to make multiple new videos because there's a lot of stuff happening in Star Citizen right now. We've just got the monthly report. We'll dive deep. We'll make a video dedicated to that soon enough, so stay tuned for that. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.